The notification pinged on my phone at 11:47 a.m. while I was reviewing quarterly reports in my cramped office above the used bookstore. LinkedIn notification. Rebecca Williams shared a new post. I clicked on it, already knowing what I'd find. Rebecca had been on a social media tear lately, documenting every milestone of Williams Tech's meteoric rise. This time, it was a professionally shot photo of her standing in front of her company's sleek glass headquarters, arms crossed, wearing that confident smile she'd perfected for investor meetings. The caption read, "Celebrating 5 years of family success without the DV. Rocket, sometimes you have to leave people behind to reach your full potential. Williams Tech just closed our Series C at a $400 million valuation. Grateful for the family members who believed in the vision from day one. Hashtag entrepreneurship, hashtag family business, hashtag tech success, hashtag growth mindset." 847 likes and counting. Comments flooding in from industry leaders, fellow entrepreneurs, and family members. All praising Rebecca's vision, her leadership, her incredible success story. I scrolled through the responses. Inspirational. You've built something amazing, Rebecca. Mom. So proud of my brilliant daughter. Flex biceps. Dead. Rebecca Williams is a force of nature. Honored to be part of this journey. Uncle Jim. Can't wait to see what you build next. The Williams family legacy continues. Cousin Mark. I clicked the heart icon and typed my own response. Congratulations. So happy to see your success. 3 minutes later, Rebecca had liked my comment. 20 minutes after that, she deleted it. The irony wasn't lost on me. The deadweight she was referring to was sitting in a 200-square-foot office, wearing a 5-year-old sweater, eating a peanut butter sandwich for lunch, while she stood in her million-dollar headquarters, celebrating a $400 million valuation funded entirely by my money. My phone buzzed again. Text from Mom. Did you see Rebecca's post? Isn't it wonderful how well she's doing? I replied, yes, very impressive. Mom, I wish you could find something you're passionate about like Rebecca has. She's really made something of herself. The thing was, I had found something I was passionate about. I was passionate about identifying undervalued technology companies and providing growth capital to help them scale. I'd been doing it for 8 years, building a portfolio worth just over $3 billion across various investment vehicles and shell companies. What I wasn't passionate about was taking credit for it. Rebecca's success story was compelling and she told it well. Fresh out of MIT with a computer science degree, she'd identified a gap in the enterprise software market and built Williams Tech from her garage. She'd attracted top talent, secured major clients, and scaled the company from startup to unicorn in just 5 years. What she left out of her story was where the funding had come from. Williams Tech had raised capital through 3 funding rounds. A $5 million seed round, a $25 million Series A, and a $175 million Series B. Rebecca owned 47% of the company, giving her a paper net worth of approximately $188 million. The lead investor in all 3 rounds was Meridian Ventures, a private equity firm that specialized in enterprise software companies. Meridian had provided $205 million in total funding to Williams Tech, making them the largest shareholder after Rebecca herself. What Rebecca didn't know was that Meridian Ventures was a subsidiary of Pacific Capital Group, which was owned by Cascade Holdings, which was controlled by a trust I'd established during graduate school at Stanford. I was Rebecca's anonymous investor. I was the source of every dollar that had built her empire. I'd first identified Williams Tech during their seed round, when Rebecca was pitching to anyone who would listen. Her technology was solid, her market analysis was thorough, and her business model was scalable. She was also my sister, though she didn't know I was evaluating her company. The decision to invest hadn't been personal. Williams Tech was exactly the kind of opportunity one looked for. Strong fundamentals, experienced leadership, large addressable market, clear competitive advantages. The fact that Rebecca was family had actually made me more cautious, not less. I'd conducted extra due diligence to ensure I wasn't letting emotion cloud my judgment. But as the company grew and Rebecca's attitude toward me deteriorated, the investment had become more complicated. It started small. Comments about my lack of ambition, when I chose to work part-time at the literacy nonprofit instead of pursuing a traditional career. Jokes about my modest lifestyle, when I showed up to family gatherings in my old Honda Civic while she drove her new Tesla. Then it escalated. Rebecca began positioning herself as the family success story, the one who'd inherited dad's entrepreneurial drive while I'd inherited mom's content to coast through life approach. She started giving interviews about the importance of surrounding yourself with growth-minded people and distancing yourself from those who don't share your vision. The Deadweight comments had started about 2 years ago, always carefully indirect but unmistakably targeted. Sometimes family members hold you back without meaning to. Not everyone is cut out for the startup lifestyle. You have to be willing to outgrow people who don't evolve with you. Last Christmas had been the breaking point. Rebecca had stood up during dinner to give a toast about Williams Tech's success, specifically thanking the family members who had supported her vision from the beginning, while pointedly avoiding eye contact with me. She'd concluded with, "Success requires making difficult choices about who gets to be part of your journey." Now, 6 months later, she was posting about family success without the deadweight to her 15,000 LinkedIn followers, publicly positioning herself as the visionary entrepreneur who'd overcome the burden of unsupportive family members. I opened my laptop and logged into the secure portal for Pacific Capital Group. My investment dashboard showed the current Williams Tech position: $205 million in deployed capital across 3 funding rounds, representing a 52% ownership stake in the company through various investment vehicles. I pulled up Rebecca's most recent pitch deck, the one she'd presented to Meridian Ventures 3 months ago when requesting the Series C funding that would take Williams Tech to their $400 million valuation. Slide 12 was titled Family Legacy, featuring photos of her with Dad at his old accounting firm, Uncle Jim at his small business, and various other family members who'd inspired her entrepreneurial journey. I wasn't in any of the photos. The irony was that Rebecca's entire business philosophy was built around the importance of smart capital allocation and strategic partnerships. She'd written blog posts about how finding the right investors was crucial to startup success. She'd spoken at conferences about the value of having aligned financial partners who understood your vision. She just didn't know that her primary aligned financial partner was the sister she'd publicly dismissed as deadweight. I scrolled through more of her recent LinkedIn posts. There was one from last week about surrounding yourself with people who elevate your thinking. Another from 2 weeks ago about the courage to leave limiting relationships behind. And one from last month with the caption, "Some people are content with small dreams. Entrepreneurs aren't." Each post had hundreds of likes and dozens of comments from industry leaders praising Rebecca's wisdom and insight. She'd built a personal brand around being the visionary entrepreneur who'd overcome obstacles and unsupportive people to achieve massive success. The obstacle she'd overcome was me. The unsupportive person holding her back was the same person writing the checks that funded her success. I opened a new browser tab and logged into my secure messaging system. My wealth management team at Blackstone Capital was available 24/7 for high-priority portfolio decisions. "Need to schedule a call regarding Williams Tech position," I typed. "Considering strategic changes to our investment structure." The response came back within 10 minutes. "Available for call at your convenience. Current position is $205 million across Series AC funding rounds. Company performance remains strong. Is this related to the recent Series C valuation?" I scheduled the call for 3 p.m., then spent the next few hours reviewing Williams Tech's financial statements, market position and growth projections. From a purely investment perspective, the company was performing exceptionally well. Revenue was growing at 85% year-over-year, profit margins were expanding, and they just signed their largest enterprise client ever. Rebecca was, objectively, an excellent CEO. She'd built a valuable company, made smart strategic decisions and created significant value for investors. The fact that she was using that success to publicly humiliate me was a separate issue from her business competence. At 3 p.m. I called my portfolio manager at Blackstone. "Ms. Chin," Marcus Richardson answered. "Thank you for making time today. I understand you want to discuss Williams Tech." "I'm considering liquidating our position," I said. There was a pause. "The entire position? That's $205 million in deployed capital. I understand the magnitude. May I ask what's driving this decision?" "The company's fundamentals remain very strong." I considered how to explain this. "It's a strategic alignment issue." "With the management team?" "Something like that." Marcus was quiet for a moment. "Ms. Chen, as your fiduciary advisor, I need to point out that Williams Tech is one of our highest performing investments. The Series C valuation represents a 4.2x return on our Series A investment. If they go public next year as planned, we're projecting returns in the 8-10x range. I understand the financial implications. And you still want to liquidate? I want to understand what liquidation would look like. What are our options? Well, Marcus said, we could sell our position to another investor, though finding someone willing to take on $205 million in secondary shares might take time. Or we could exercise our liquidation preferences under the shareholder agreement. What would that involve? We'd trigger a forced sale of the company. As the majority shareholder, we have the right to demand immediate return of invested capital plus accrued interest. Given Williams Tech's current cash position, they'd be unable to meet that obligation. So they'd have to find new investors or face bankruptcy. Yes. Without our continued backing, they don't have enough cash flow to service their existing obligations. What about Rebecca's personal exposure? Marcus pulled up more documents. Ms. Williams has personal guarantees on approximately $15 million in company debt. She'd also lose her equity stake, which is currently worth about $188 million on paper. So she'd go from multimillionaire to bankrupt. Essentially, yes. I thanked Marcus and told him I'd get back to him with a decision. Then I sat in my small office, looking out at the street below where people were going about their normal lives, unaware that I was contemplating a decision that would destroy my sister's empire. The rational part of my brain knew this was a bad financial decision. Williams Tech was a solid investment with excellent growth prospects. Rebecca was building real value, creating jobs and solving legitimate market problems. Destroying the company would hurt innocent employees and customers, not just Rebecca. But the emotional part of my brain was tired of being called deadweight by the person whose success I'd funded. My phone buzzed with another LinkedIn notification. Rebecca had posted again, this time sharing an article about toxic family dynamics with her own commentary. Sometimes the people who claim to love you are actually the ones holding you back. Building a successful company means having the courage to prioritize growth over guilt. #boundaries, #growth, #entrepreneurship. 456 likes in the first hour. I opened the comments section. More praise for Rebecca's wisdom and strength. More congratulations on her success. More validation for her decision to distance herself from negative influences. Then I saw a comment from our cousin Sarah. So inspiring. I've been dealing with similar issues with family members who don't understand my goals. It's hard but necessary to leave some people behind. Rebecca had replied, exactly. You can't let other people's limitations become your limitations. Sometimes family is the biggest obstacle to overcome. I stared at that comment for a long time. Sometimes family is the biggest obstacle to overcome. I was the obstacle. The sister who'd quietly provided every dollar that built her company was the limitation she'd courageously overcome. I opened my secure messaging app and typed a message to Marcus. Please proceed with liquidation of Williams Tech position. Exercise liquidation preferences immediately. Understood. This will trigger bankruptcy proceedings within 30 days. Are you certain you want to proceed? Yes. I'll need written authorization for a transaction of this magnitude. You'll have it within the hour. I drafted the authorization, digitally signed it and sent it through our encrypted system. By tomorrow morning, Rebecca's lawyers would receive notice that Meridian Ventures was exercising their liquidation preferences and demanding immediate return of all invested capital. Williams Tech would have 30 days to come up with $205 million or face bankruptcy. But first I had one more LinkedIn post to make. I opened my personal profile, the one with 127 connections, mostly former colleagues from the nonprofit and a few Stanford classmates. No blue checkmark, no impressive job title, no professional headshot. I typed, "Congratulations to my sister Rebecca Williams on her incredible success with Williams Tech. As someone who has followed her journey closely, I can say she's built something truly impressive. Proud to have been part of the story from the beginning. #family first, #proud sister." I tagged Williams Tech in Rebecca's profile, then hit post. Within minutes the comments started coming in. Rebecca is lucky to have such a supportive sister. Family support is so important for entrepreneurs. Beautiful to see siblings celebrating each other's success. Rebecca liked the post but didn't comment. 20 minutes later she deleted my tag. An hour after that my phone rang. Rebecca's name on the caller ID. Anna, she said when I answered. What was that LinkedIn post about? I was congratulating you on your success. The Series C announcement was impressive. You don't usually post about business stuff. I thought this was worth sharing. I'm proud of what you've built. There was a pause. Thank you. That's unexpected. Why is it unexpected? You know why. We haven't exactly been close lately. You've been busy building your company. I understand. Anna, can I ask you something? Of course. Do you ever think about what you want to do with your life? I mean, really do. I considered this question. I think I'm doing it. Working part-time at a literacy nonprofit? Living in that tiny apartment? Anna, you're smart. You could do so much more. What if I told you I was already doing more? What do you mean? What if I told you I had other projects? Other interests? Rebecca laughed. Like what? Anna, I'm not trying to be mean, but you live like a college student. You drive a car from 2015. You shop at thrift stores. What if I told you those were choices, not limitations? Then I'd say you're making very strange choices. What if I told you I was an investor? An investor? Anna, you can barely afford to contribute to family gifts. What if I told you I was your investor? The line went quiet. What are you talking about? Rebecca finally said. I'm talking about Meridian Ventures. Your lead investor. Your primary source of funding. Anna, that's not funny. I'm not trying to be funny. Meridian Ventures is a major private equity firm. They manage billions in assets. I know. I control them. That's impossible. Why is it impossible? Because you work at a nonprofit. You live in a studio apartment. You can't even afford a decent car. I can afford whatever I want, Rebecca. I choose to live simply. Anna, stop. This isn't funny anymore. Check your email. Your lawyers should be receiving some documents tomorrow. What documents? Liquidation preferences. Meridian Ventures is exercising our right to demand immediate return of invested capital. What are you talking about? I'm talking about the $205 million I've invested in Williams Tech over the past 5 years. I want it back. Anna, you're scaring me. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with me is that I'm tired of being called deadweight by the person whose success I funded. I never called you deadweight. Family success without the deadweight. LinkedIn post. This morning. 847 likes. Rebecca was quiet for a long moment. Anna, if you're serious, if this is real, Williams Tech can't survive losing Meridian's backing. I know. It would destroy everything I've built. I know. Please. I'm begging you. Don't do this. Give me one reason why I shouldn't. Because I'm your sister. You weren't my sister this morning when you posted about family success without the deadweight. Anna, I'm sorry. I was wrong. I was completely wrong. About which part? The part where you called me deadweight, or the part where you didn't know I was funding your success? Both. All of it. Anna, please. We can fix this. How? I'll make a public apology. I'll give you credit. I'll tell everyone the truth. What truth? That you've been supporting the company. That I've been supporting the company? Rebecca, I don't just support the company. I own the company. You work for me. The line went dead. 3 hours later, Rebecca called back. Anna, I talked to my lawyers. They confirmed that Meridian Ventures filed liquidation papers this afternoon. Yes, they did. Anna, this will bankrupt me. I'll lose everything. I know. Please. Tell me what you want. I'll do anything. I want you to understand that success doesn't give you the right to treat people as disposable. You're right. You're absolutely right. I want you to understand that family should matter more than your personal brand. It does. It will. I want you to understand that the person you called deadweight was the person making your success possible. I understand. Anna, I'm so sorry. I was horrible. I was wrong about everything. But you don't really understand, do you, Rebecca? Because if you did, you wouldn't have treated me that way in the first place. I understand now. Because now you know I have money. No. Because I realize I was wrong about you. Prove it. How? Make another LinkedIn post. Tell your 15,000 followers that Williams Tech was built entirely on investment capital from your sister. Tell them that the deadweight you left behind was actually the person funding your success. Anna, I can't do that. Why not? Because it would ruin my reputation. It would make me look like a fraud. More of a fraud than taking credit for success you didn't earn? Anna, please. There has to be another way. There is no other way, Rebecca. The papers have been filed. Williams Tech has 30 days to return $205 million or face bankruptcy. What if I gave you equity? Made you a public partner? I already own 52% of your company, Rebecca. I don't need you to give me equity. Then what do you want? I want you to experience what it feels like to lose everything while someone you trusted watches it happen. Anna, please. I'm begging you. Like I was begging you to stop calling me deadweight? I never knew it hurt you. Because you never asked. You never cared enough to ask. I hung up. Within an hour, my phone was buzzing with calls from other family members. Mom, Dad, Uncle Jim, Cousin Mark. All of them had heard from Rebecca. All of them wanting to understand what was happening. I let them all go to voicemail. By tomorrow, the business press would be reporting that Williams Tech was facing a financial crisis. By next week, Rebecca's personal brand as a visionary entrepreneur would be destroyed. By next month, the company she'd built would be gone. And I would go back to my job at the literacy nonprofit helping underserved kids learn to read. Because despite what Rebecca believed, some things were more important than being seen as successful. Though I had to admit, watching the bankruptcy notices arrive was going to be satisfying. Just like I'd told Blackstone they would be.